scientifically examined to see when he wrote that code as well at one point?
Yes, because a lot of people just didn't believe him. He said, "Well, we can test this, surely." I mean, Jim is a retired military cop, so Jim was very familiar with forensics. And so Jim's point was, hey, if you don't believe me, forensicate the notebook, because you'll be able to tell, the type of notebook, the type of paper, the ink. So it's an open offer from Jim. I think once he'd called people's bluff, I don't think anyone has actually done it, but he was very clear from day one. He said, if you don't believe me, I'm very happy for any reputable scientific laboratory to take this and do some tests, which is not what a liar would say. A liar would say, oh no, this is sentimental value, I don't want to part with it. What if it gets lost or destroyed? No, Jim was like, yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, and now it'd probably also be worth a fortune to a collector as well. But as far as what binary code is and how long it's existed for, because this is the first time I've ever heard of it, but I saw in an interview you did on Basement Office, you also talked about some super genius who probably would never have heard about this, also theorized that if aliens ever wanted to connect with us, they would do it through binary code.
Ah, yes, that's Professor Ronald Mallet. He's one of the few theoretical physicists researching and investigating time travel. I mean, obviously, Stephen Hawking wrote about the possibility of it, not least in his classic book, A Brief History of Time. But Professor Ronald Mallet is one of the few people now looking at that. Stephen Hawking, of course, died some years ago. And Professor Mallet theorized that if you wanted to send a message back through time, what you would do is you would use subatomic particles now this is way beyond my simple brain, I'm afraid, but some subatomic particles have a so-called spin state, which can either be up or down. And so Professor Mallet said, well, if you could control the spin state of these particles to be either up or down, then what you could do is if you then incorporate that into some means of sending it back in time, you could send not just an object, you could send a message. And of course, many people who look at Rendlesham say that's exactly what Jim Penniston received.